Lone Star Land, with boots on my feet and dreams in my hand. A little sassy but a whole lot of grace. You'll see that fire when you look at my face. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Barbecue smoke, Friday night lights, cheering for the Astros under Texas skies. A little bit stubborn, a whole lot of charm. This big old heart will keep you warm. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Barbecue smoke, Friday night lights, cheering for the Astros under Texas skies. A little bit stubborn, a whole lot of charm. This big old heart will keep you warm. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. From the blue bonnet fields to the city streets, every step I take feels like home to me. With a little sass and a lot of pride, this Texas girl's got nothing to hide. I'm a Texas girl with a heart so wide, family and friends always by my side. From the crack of dawn to the stars at night, I keep it real, keep my soul burning bright. Gummy shoe prints, laid them down the street. Chocolate wrappers hiding secrets sweet. They don't miss a beat, they've got a knack. With licorice ropes pulling answers back. Twist the wrapper to reveal the truth. A sticky web spun by a candy slough. No sour lies can escape the grip. These lollipops always crack the
Sebastian, sweet boy, where have you gone? The sun sets low, but we keep marching on. The wind whispers your name soft through the pines, a melody aching in these hearts of mine. Roads are endless, the nights are cold, but your story's a light we'll never let go. Where are you, sweet boy Sebastian? We're searching the hills, the rivers, the plains. You deserve better, oh you deserve better. And your army is fighting through heartache and pain. Your laughter once rang like bells through the air. Now silence just lingers, it's more than we can bear. We carry your memory, a flag in our hands. Through shadows and valleys, through shifting sands. The roads are endless, the nights are cold, but your story's a light we'll never let go. Where are you, sweet boy Sebastian? We're searching the hills, the rivers, the plains. You deserve better, Oh, you deserve better, and your army is fighting through heartache and pain. Your laughter once rang through heartache and pain.
Well, hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Hope everybody's staying warm. It is super cold out there. But hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for being here. Hello, Daisy. Hello, Kai. Hey, Jenny Machete. Miss Rhonda. Hi, Christy. Me and you. DJ. There's our Jen in Georgia. Hello to you. Hey, wild child. Finally got above zero about an hour ago. Was minus 23 this morning, actual minus 36 with wind chill. My goodness, girl, you stay warm. Enjoy your heat wave. Hey, Cinderella. Good to have you with us. Let's see, Miss Kathy, hello to you. Let me see who else coming in. Hello, TJ. Maui, hello, hello. Hey, Kimberly. Let me see. Hello, Miss Rhonda. Hello, Teresa. Good to see you. Let me see here. Who else we got with us? Sorry, I got distracted. My granddaughter was in here doing handstands. So let's see here. Lisa King, hello to you. And hello, Linda. Good to have you with us. Michelle, hello. Let's see here. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Hey, Trishy. Good to see you. Tell you what, we're barely staying warm down here in East Texas. Barely, barely, barely. About 10 miles north of us, they've already started icing up, and our temperatures are starting to drop really bad. So it won't be long. We'll be icy. But good to see you. Let's see here. Hey, Sammy G, how you doing? I tell you, I'm surprised everybody's here. I was worried people were without power. I was seeing a lot of places that have already lost power. And I thought, well, I'll go live anyways. Hey, Sally. Good to see you. Read the bell. How are you? Goodness, we got us a good house today. Let's see. Buds girl, hello to you. Good to have you with us. Anybody else sneaking in on us? We always have somebody sneaking in right at the last. Trying to get everybody before we get started. Let's see here. Look at here, D. DJ's been a member for 3 months. Sweet boy Sebastian, where are you? That is the question for the day. Thank you, Daniel, for being a member with us for so long. I appreciate you. Holly, are you staying warm, Holly? It's getting cold where we're at down here. All righty. Hello, Michelle. Find Summer's Truth. Hello to you. And Narita, hello. Bo. There you are, Bo. Haven't seen you in a while. So glad to see you with us. Jacqueline, hello. It's 0 where you're at. Finally out of the negative, Cinderella. Oh gosh, I can't complain about our weather then. Oh goodness. Ooh, Vanilla's baking some bread. Yummy, yummy. Yummy, yummy. All righty. I think we did it. Got everybody called out. Oh, wait. Sue, hello. Sue sitting in the bushes. Well, we're glad you're with us, Sue. Hope you're well. Hey, Gigi. Good to have you coming in with us. Looky here, looky here. Me and you has been a member for 7 months. She said, love you all. Oh, thank you, me and you. That is so sweet. We love having you as part of the family. Let's see here. What? Trishy become a member? Whoop, whoop. Trishy. How exciting. Welcome to the South.
Welcome. Welcome to the South. We break that good stuff out. We got enough to go around. So can I get a amen with that? Welcome to the South.
We're so excited to have you as part of our family, Trishy. And it is so good to see you. Let's see anybody else sneaking in before we get busy. There's Kiki. Hope y'all are warm, Kiki. Goodness, goodness. Welcome to everybody, those in the bushes. Thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all so much. Like I said, we are doing well over here. Just cold and it is raining. But about 10 miles north of us, it's freezing rain and it'll be dropping down our way. I think they said within the next 2 hours. And already people are losing power down here. So I'm not looking forward to it. Hoping we'll be able to bypass that part of it. And the kids are really kind of upset because it didn't snow today. And they had to go ahead and go out and work their goats today. They thought they had a day off because it was cold. Oh, but they got their big show coming up pretty soon. And so they've got to do all the things. Anyways, did you see my message about America's Most Wanted? Had the ruckus video circled. I really think you're 100% right. Yes, America's Most Wanted did. I'm telling y'all, I think there's something to that ruckus video. The thing that in that beginning stages, there was so little we knew at the time. And Jay was just guessing as to where that could have came from, that footage. And she had it coming from a whole different location. And everybody kind of threw it out as not being correct. But when you watch that 3 a.m. video, you see movement. There are people moving over there. And now that we know where it's coming from, I think there might be some validity to it. Of course, you know, like yesterday, we went over some photos from the 3 a.m. I showed you how Chat GPT explains to you how to go about it to take a dark image if there is any type of light refracting out, then you can see things. And, you know, we went through there, saw some things. Do I know what happened during that 3 a.m. video? What was actually going on? Who was there? No, I do not. But those pictures That video was taken, or let me rephrase that. Those pictures were taken from that 3 a.m. video. You pause, you screenshot, you let it play for just a tiny, tiny, tiny little second, do it again. Then you have to go back. It is a process, but it can be done. It can be done as long as there is some source of light reflecting outwards. We had the full moon that night. That helped. Then the neighbor's floodlights. Then the two lights from the trash truck that seem to have a mind of their own and go different directions and all the things. So, yeah, there were things in place to allow us to see things by use of basic contrast, highlights, those kinds of things. And whether actually saw things, didn't see things, believed it or didn't believe it, that's up to your own discretion. I just wanted to make that clear because, there are people out there that are going to take anything and everything and twist and turn it around to be something negative. But yeah, I do believe that ruckus video happened. I believe it came from that 3 a.m. video. I believe it was happening around that neighbor's garage area where their floodlights are. And I do believe that might have been the neighbor that wasn't home. Christy said, I seen it. I went and done it and got the same thing. There you go, Christy. Yeah. So, hey, Deafening Silence. How are you doing? Good to see you. Hey, Hope Floats. Good to see you. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. And I appreciate everybody that comes in and listens. Like I always tell you guys, all I can do is show you things that I'm seeing, I found, those kind of things. I'm not forcing anything down anyone's throat. I'm not twisting your arm to believe what I believe. Because at the end of the day, there ain't not one of us here that knows the actual truth. If we did, we would be bringing Sebastian Rogers home. Because that's our number one goal here, always. Oh, yes, Hope Floats. That's what I said. My granddaughter said to me today, doesn't cold weather not do good for old people? I was like, little girl, be quiet. She says, don't your bones hurt? And I'm like, yes, they do, smarty pants. She just giggled. She stays on me all the time about being old. Lolly, after going over that other dispatch last night, girl, oh, I'm telling you, Kiki's been listening to some more. There's another dispatch that's out there, and whoo, she's on to something. What house are you talking about, left or right? If you stand in the street and look at Katie and Chris's house, it is the one on the right on the corner where the road curves. So there was an LE officer wanting camera footage from home in front of pond. Oh. Kiki and I went down this rabbit hole. Yeah, right, Sue. She's hearing things about old people. She just takes it out on me. And then she giggles. She knows it's fun. But Kiki and I were talking the other night and we got to discussing Were homes already built in the construction site when Sebastian went missing? We heard, and she played it, on her channel, and it clearly states that the law enforcement asked the guy over the construction site to get the his guys that are working to check the construction site area and report back to him. Kim. Kim says, I'm only 43 years young and I work outside 5 days a week and my bones hurt. Oh, Epsom salt becomes a friend of yours when your bones and your muscles start hurting, for sure. But yeah, so it's like, if there were homes over there, did anybody ask those homes for video footage? So we got to looking into some houses in that area. Guys, Willow Bend Drive, the street right before the row of trees, then the cemetery, they were built in the early, 21 and 22, in those time frames. Look at here. Tap dancer Lizzie says, with a grain of salt, several bonus homes for emotionally unstable boys can only have shoes without laces. I'm working on a list of where to buy Skechers slip-ons. There you go. When we talked about the ARC facility, the ARC facility, there are those facilities out there that you cannot wear shoes when you walk in that door to be admitted. And they give you a pair of slip-ons when you get there. So him not having shoes and going into a facility makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And I will say this, that young man that I was using to reference at that time was released just within a few days of us doing that. He was supposed to be there 2 years. He was released. He came back home, and he's been home for a little while now. And that young man has got some problems for sure. I mean, he is struggling in life. Look at Sammy G being a member for 9 months. Heavy snow started with temps rose to 2. Oh, Lord. Y'all making me feel bad complaining about our low 30-degree weather over here. Goodness. Monday morning, we were supposed to be around 0. But not in the negative. Oh, I feel bad for y'all. Oh, wait. Let me go up one more. KP bought new Skechers the day he went missing. Isn't that convenient? I'm telling y'all, something is not right with all of this, guys. This whole entire story of him going missing, things aren't right. And let's see, Kiki says, if they send him off, then CB connection, I feel, help them. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I talked about the yellow coat guy at one time where I believed who it possibly could have been. And his connections with the ARC facilities was kind of disturbing. He is on the board of one of those. And I even made the comment that the picture she took sitting at Texas Roadhouse with him sitting up and looking right at her could have been the photo ID needed to get him into that facility and registered. And I'm telling you, this young man, we may go over it again just for anybody who didn't follow us back then. But this young man went in to a facility like this. His father had insurance and thought he was going to a clinic because that's what the charges were showing on his insurance. But he had no idea where his child was. His father didn't have to give permission. Only one parent needed that permission, and his mother did that. So, there's a lot we learned. And we may just go over that. Seth was in Lady Freedom's last night, and he said, only send things to FBI now. Y'all, that's all I do anymore. I do not send anything to TBI or Sumner County. I don't trust those people. They're not doing nothing. So I do send my stuff in to FBI. Been doing that for a while now. I don't trust At Night or Dog or any of those. I'm sorry, nobody has proved to be worthy of Sebastian. And so if I feel it is important, I I will for sure send it in to the FBI. Michelle says I send it to Kiki. There you go. And if somebody doesn't want to send something in and you might have something, send it to me. I will be glad to send it in. And I always, always leave a message. I don't know if this is something that could lead to somewhere, but I felt like it was worth you looking at. And that's all we can do. Oh, yeah, Aretha Bell. No, At Night. I was kind of iffy there for a while, not quite sure on a lot of things. But when Nick came out and lost his mind, I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with so much of it. It's absolutely sad that Sebastian's case has turned into the biggest shit show YouTube has ever seen. And I'm sorry for those words, but that's pretty much what it is. And it's crazy. And no need other than the channels that his mother and stepfather frequent and the distractions they cause. And so when anybody entertains them, I back away from that. Yeah, I think so. Wannabe sleuth, and I agree with you. I try really hard, guys. I do, because I know law enforcement has to do certain things. They have to go through a process. I have tried to be as patient as I could be. I have tried to hold on to that tiny bit of hope that maybe Sumner County actually has things and they are working. When we can see the clear picture before our eyes and nothing has been done, excuse me, it's to the point to where if they have no evidence when it comes to Sebastian being missing, how did he leave? And there's some things I'm hearing, that I have been asked right now not to speak on, But I would say this much, it should be enough. It should be enough for Katie to pretty much be locked up. But nothing's happening. And it's something they've known from the very beginning. It's just not happening. And the CPS, DCS is what they call it in Tennessee. You know, I call it CPS because that's what we call it here in Texas. But all that was happening there, Seth had to hire a lawyer. He got the reports. Not only were they the reports that were filed with the Department of Children's Services, not only the information called in from his teachers and things at the school. Okay, so y'all do call it CPS there. Okay. Somebody told me the other day it is called DCS. And I'm like, okay, my bad. So, you know, not only did he receive those reports, he received the reports from the counselor or therapist that Sebastian was going to, and all the things he talked about was documented. And Seth got those as well. He learned what Sebastian's life was like inside that house. DCFS, okay. Department of Children and Family Services, gotcha. Hey, cool gamer. But just knowing that there was all those reports, knowing that there was a court case coming up on those things that happened to Sebastian in his home prior to Mr. Chris having his custody case, and the main witness disappears. I mean, there's your motive, folks. There's your motive right there. Should that court case have happened and Sebastian told of all that happened inside their home, I honestly do not think Mr. Chris would ever have gotten custody of his daughter. He probably would have lost visitation rights and would have had to have supervised visits, if that. And that's huge. Hey, Blue Eyes. And so you put all these things together, makes it pretty obvious. But like I said, I try to believe in law enforcement. Yes, Kiki. Are you going to talk about that on your channel, Kiki? I hope so, because that is bothersome. She was telling me how in the second dispatch, I believe it was, that there was a medical vehicle that was called, and they were saying it led them to the pond during the search. It wasn't long after that when the officer called Brandon, not sure if it was Brandon Carter or not, said he was making his way back to the home, and somebody said, is anyone there? And his reply were, there's a lot here. And shortly, like maybe less than 2 minutes, the same officer, Brandon, calls everybody away from searching and gets them to come to 1008 Stafford Court. Why are you going to pull people off of searching? They had just got out there, just started searching. They were around the construction site, the cemetery area, and leading outward and across over Long Hollow Pike, going that way. And called them all to come back to 1008 Stafford Court. Is Blue Eyes not here? I saw somebody say hi to her. That's why I said hi. I don't, hmm. I don't see her. Is Blue Eyes here? Hello, Blue Eyes. If you're here, hello. Let us know. I know she was moving into her new place. So excited for her. Anyways, so yeah, these things are very bothersome. What did they find in that pond? The ruckus. If you stop and think, he said he was at the pond. He sees the ruckus. It was about 25 feet out. Or the riffraff, not the ruckus, the riffraff. I got my R's all mixed up. So there's a lot that I question, and it was still that same Brandon officer that makes the comment that the neighbor that lives 2 houses down on Kellen that drives the white truck was in the car with him. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that real quick. Since TJ ain't going to leave me alone about it, I'll do it. Here we go, guys. Let's do this before we get started. Myself, along with moderators, subscribers, and anyone in chat, express their opinion. On this channel, we present speculation, possibility, and show things found for everyone to decide for themselves what opinion they have. We're here for helpful purposes only. We're not here for drama, hate, or anything negative. Please respect all opinions. My content is not to be used in a negative way at any time. So, lots of questions left hanging out there, and I can't help but want to go over those, talk about them, bring them up again, because we still don't have answers. We have no answers. I see you, Brenda Sue. How you doing? And so today we're going to listen to Seth. He had Tony Mathis with him, and they had Jennifer Coffindaffer on there. I want y'all to listen to some of his words that he says, and he talks about the therapist that Sebastian was seeing, and the words he said, and how it tore Seth up. I want y'all to hear a father that's actually grieving, not a grieving mother 5 months out that goes to have lunch with the girls in Florida, but an actual father who's tore up. Because I don't care how you want to play the game, which should never be considered a game because this is a child's life. But these people that want to play these games, throw Seth under the bus. I'm sorry, you put Katie and Chris side by side. One's grieving and the other one is obviously not. If you could take all the crap out of it, it becomes plain as day. So, as we get going, let me put a copyright up here. I mean, our banner thingy for copyright purposes, because we're going to learn some things. We're going to educate ourselves here on the words of Seth Rogers. And here we go. Let's get this party going. And this was about at the 1 year mark. Now, we're not going to start at the very, very beginning. We're going to start just a little ways in, because this is about the time he starts to talk about the notes from the therapist. I want y'all to hear these words that he says.
That just scares the shit out of me. Excuse my language. It's just, I've never been a person that's been scared of anything. And now I'm scared because I don't know what my son's going to do.
Has anybody ever heard Katie say that she's scared because she doesn't know where her son is? Nope. None of us have heard that. But we hear Seth saying it over and over and over again. And although I do question why law enforcement has not cleared him, I cannot deny the fact that this man is grieving.
And that's frightens me.
Well, I think all of us, Seth, especially you as his father, for heaven's sakes, but I think that's the fear we all have, right? That's another reason why everybody is so engaged, is as you start to think of, you know, what he could have gone through, what he could be going through, just everything that young man, I mean, he's been gone a year now. And, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Seth.
What's worse is being told to go look at this or go look at that by my connects, and then getting the information, going through over 200 pages of notes and seeing what was going on in his life that I wasn't part of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like these reports that we got, and I'm not talking about CPS reports, those were bad enough. But then these other reports, I gave them to one of my psychologist friends, and I had this individual go over them, and they were just like, it's night and day between your house and their house.
I've always said I felt like Seth's house was a refuge for Sebastian, his safe place where he can go and relax and be himself. He had time to be who he is at his father's house. And bless his little heart, he had to walk on tiptoes, stay conscious of every little thing he did because of what was going on at his mother and stepdad's.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't understand how a child can live in your house, how your child could live in the house and you not interact with your child.
How does a child live in a house with you? Your baby that you gave birth to has become this teenage boy. How do you not interact with your child that lives with you? According to the notes of the therapist Sebastian was seeing, and everything Sebastian told was documented, it seems as if he stayed in his room a whole lot, stayed to himself, and had to entertain himself a lot. So this false narrative of Katie having a fun day with their child, because they did that all the time, completely is blown to pieces.
That's supposed to be your flesh and blood.
Well, Seth, we can understand a little bit of that because we had an opportunity to see behind the curtain with the Texas Roadhouse video. That was interesting to me. We got a chance to pull the curtain open when, you know, She thought no one was watching, and we got to see the detachment for ourselves.
Wait, what? Jennifer Coffin-Duffer just said the detachment. I hope everybody on the other side over there is listening to this woman who is an expert in her field. And she clearly sees the detachment Katie had when it came to her own child. We saw it. I just put out a video about it. Played this whole 6-minute part where her interaction with them was negative, and that was the only interaction that we got to see. But he was clearly, even on pins and needles, sitting there across from his mother, getting nothing from her. He hardly ever spoke. He didn't talk about their day. He didn't have the freedom, I believe, to actually engage in conversation with his mother, because it's not something they did.
Got to see
That is normal. That's what these reports actually told me, was that's normal in that house.
No,
I mean,
I agree, but I'm saying we actually got to watch it.
Yeah, well, and 287 pages, Jen. So if you can imagine, we have, everybody says, well, the father wants to sling mud because of these CPS reports. And, you know, this could be this could be that. But I'll tell you what can't be this or that is 52 weeks from February of 23 till February of 24, one counseling meeting per week for 52 weeks with an average of 5 to 6 pages per week, per meeting, explaining everything that was going on inside of that home, and more powerfully quoting Sebastian. So imagine being a father and going through the last 52 weeks inside of that home and listening to what your son had to say about that. It's indescribable.
what hurts me even more is the fact that he didn't tell me. He didn't tell me. I don't know why. I thought I was there for him, and for some reason he didn't tell me everything that was going on.
He was just,
You know, I can imagine the grief Seth is having to live with, not knowing what was actually happening to his child while his child was with his mother. You know, there are a lot of parents out there that split up, they get a divorce, they go their separate ways, they live their own lives separately, and children are involved. But I'm going to guarantee you, most parents who share joint custody, who share just visitations, they pretty much feel comfortable knowing that just because them as adults did not work out, that their child is safe with the other parent. And you don't have to really worry about that child, because you know that other parent loves them and would pretty much give their life for their child. And I would assume that's what Seth thought all along. But it just, according to all 287 pages, pretty much proved that was not the case for Sebastian Rogers. The woman who gave birth to him, for whatever reason, didn't interact with him much. Her husband was gone a lot. She must have spent most of her time on the phone with him and didn't have time for her son. Just guessing at that one, but what other reason would there be to not interact with your child? Seth has told us repeatedly that Sebastian spent a lot of time in his room. Now, think of this, friends, before Jennifer goes on to reply to that. Think of Sebastian being 15 years old, spending all this time in his room, but yet he has no internet access. He's locked down pretty tight on his phone. He's terrified to make friends because Mr. Chris might find out, so there's no friend interactions. Now think of him just sitting in his room most of the time. They didn't even allow him the opportunity to just be a teenager.
Afraid, Seth. He was afraid. And, no matter what
He should have never been afraid. My son should have never been afraid of anything.
I can't.
Well, Seth,
But that's normal. I'm just saying it's normal, especially children. And I don't know if they mentioned anything about this, but children will protect their parents, good, bad, or the ugly. And I think that was probably a product of that, not wanting to say anything disparaging to you about his mom.
well, and look at this through a child's lens, Seth. You had Sebastian 2 days of every 14 days. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
So
Sometimes 3. Sometimes 3.
Okay. So you've got a child that is living in an unhealthy environment for, 6/7 of the time. And he was probably terrified in the time he got to spend to you that if he, we've heard some of the stories about how he got chastised for reaching out to his school and reaching out to CPS workers and told that he was overreacting and this and that. Well, imagine knowing that he only had you for 2 days, and then the other 12 days of that 14 days, he has to go back into that environment. So through a child's lens, he's going to do everything he can do to make the majority of his time, which is the other 12 days, go as smooth as possible. And here's what he knows. He knows that if he goes to school, that he may or may not get protection from what's going on at home at school. But he's comfortable at least talking to them and telling them that. But he knows if he comes to his daddy and tells his daddy what's going on and he's not taken out of that home, then it's going to be a catastrophe inside of that home.
Kudos to Tony Mathis, because 100% believe every word he just said. Guys, y'all stop and think about it right now. We've heard Mr. Chris's anger. We've heard his explosions towards people he don't even know, he's never met. And yet he feels the need to go off and tell them exactly how he feels in the most disgusting and degrading way possible. Now think of Sebastian living with that. You remember we talked not long ago about how Katie and Seth both had to go to Chris and say, can Sebastian have his phone back? Seth made the comment that he had to go ask Chris, can my son have his phone back so that I can talk to him? Chris dominated the 3 of those parents. It was Chris's way or no way. We heard the neighbor explain how Chris was just in the neighborhood. If someone had an opinion different than Chris wasn't happy about that. He even made the comment about, well, we heard clearly his words yelling at Katie, it's him or it's me. Guys, that was not long before Sebastian came up missing when those words were said. And sadly, because of all the things that we're hearing, all the things that we're seeing, everything put together, I can't help but think, well, Katie made her choice. Katie made her choice. Sebastian, we've been able to read Seth's mother's post where she said Sebastian reached out to her and talked to her about what was happening in that home. And his words were to her, please do not tell my daddy because I don't want him to lose his job and go to jail. The words that I'm pretty sure Mr. Chris has said to him in that home, you better not tell your daddy because he's going to come over here and try to hurt me. And he's going to end up losing his job and he'll get locked up. He's going to go to jail. Do you want that for your dad? And I only say that because of the hate that man has, the anger that comes out of him, and the other words we've heard him say. I can clearly in my mind seeing that happening. And Sebastian was probably terrified that if his dad found out, his dad would be mad, which any father should be. But Chris used fear with Sebastian to control the situation. Just like he tried to do with Betty, just like he tried to do with Brittany J, just like he has tried to do with everybody his entire life. Five marriages that didn't end well. Didn't end well at all. Remember, let me see. I think I have it still. Hold on just a minute. I want to double check. But I think I don't have it anymore. We looked at a comment that was made by a person that knew Chris's first ex-wife very well, where she said he left her in a pool of blood. And we're not supposed to believe something happened to Sebastian. Mystery Sky, he really does think he is untouchable. He really does, because people around him do things for him. You know how we've talked about the other side and certain creators who don't actually do all the things, but they have their little minions doing things for them. Yeah, I think they're taking Chris's playbook right out of his hands. Yeah, Nanny Sharon, I agree. Thank goodness for Nina speaking out and telling her story. Thank goodness for her oldest daughter to speak out against the words Kathy Bowerstocks put out there, trashing Nina all over the place. Her daughter spoke out and said, I remember clearly these things happening. I don't know how we're supposed to sit here like the other side and talk about all things wrong with the people trying to find Sebastian. It's not about all the people. It never has been about all the people. It's always about Sebastian. Hey, Mama, good to see you. Yeah, how do we sit and do nothing, Kylie? Exactly. Trishy said CP's history of behavior points to where toward a scary situation for Sebastian, in her opinion. I 100% agree with that. 100. And the scariest part of all of it for me, just being a mother, the scariest part is that Katie made that choice. She made that choice. She drove away from Texas Roadhouse. And we don't know if Sebastian ever made it home because there's no footage of him going in that house and there's no footage of him ever leaving that house. But yet he's nowhere to be found. And we know a 14, at the most 14-minute drive took her an hour and a half that night. What happened to Sebastian? Where did she go? My question is, did her dash cam actually record an hour and a half from Texas Roadhouse to the time they made it home? Katie, can you answer that question for us? Was your dash cam working perfectly well? Captured everything? Oh, and tell your husband I got his hard questions anytime he's ready.
So you have to look at it through a child's lens, and it would be very, very difficult for that child to come to the guy that he knows things would blow up with if he shared that with. So, just like Jen said, I mean, it's very, very difficult for a child to tell on a parent. I think he was trying. He was reaching out for help. I think there's some entities that failed him. For sure.
Held him.
We do recall that one of the CPS workers, not sure if she was the one on Sebastian's case or not, but someone who actually worked for the Department of Children's Services there in the state of Tennessee for Sumner County, conveniently packed up just few days prior to Sebastian going missing. And all of a sudden she's in Alaska working for a petroleum company. I wonder if that's who Mommy and Daddy Socks went to visit just after Sebastian went missing. I wonder if she was the reason those cases were being overlooked. And things got a little too hot. And it was time for her to go before she got herself in some trouble. Just guessing. but that would be my guess.
And it's
Well,
just,
you didn't fail him.
I mean, I look at hindsight's 2020, and I see things, and it's like I should have recognized it, and I didn't.
Hindsight's 2020, Seth. You didn't know, you didn't have those reports, you didn't have that information. You can't beat yourself up. I know you're beating yourself up probably about so many things that's, happen so often, but you just can't. You just need to redirect that sadness and energy to exactly what you have now. Fly, whether it's advocating on your channel, whether it's searching, whether it's conducting interviews, everything you're doing, just keep doing it for Sebastian. You're
That's all
really,
I can do. That's my goal, is to find him. There's very. I don't have to say my son. I don't have to tell my son I love him. He knows I love him. But I think about the last phone call I had with him that Thursday before. And it's like, I told him I love him at the end of every phone call. Because not only the profession that I've been in, every day is not guaranteed. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And that's one of the things that I've always told him at the end of every phone call, all that sort of stuff. So I know that he knows that I love him because I tell him. And I just want him to call me. I want him to call 911. I want somebody to see him so I can come get him. I've had people ask me about his name. Well, Sebastian stands for revered. Drake has always been, he's my little dragon. My dad's name is Wayne. That's where that came from. But he's always been my revered little dragon. His Aunt Sharon, may she rest in peace, she called him Drake. That's all she ever called him. And it's just, I gave him his name, and I just hope that he's still here. I see a lot of people talk about he's dead, and it's like, I'm going through enough shit. I don't need. Sorry, Tony. I'm going through enough stuff that it's horrible. I sit there and people are like, I think he's deceased, and it's like, how can you say that? There's no evidence that he's deceased. There's no evidence at all. Putting that in the air is just wishing horrible things on a child that is missing. And if you think that, you're not looking for it. If you think that he is deceased, you're not out there looking. When a group of kids walk by, you're not looking to see if one of them is Sebastian. You're not actually paying attention to the children to see if Sebastian is one of them, because you already have it in your mind that he's not here. Well, I know he's not here in my house, but damn it, I believe that he's still alive, and I will keep the faith that he is until proven otherwise, because my son deserves that. He deserves
it. 100% he deserves it. And friends, my goodness, how many times has Katie said those words? How many times has Katie, that grieving mother, ever said anything like that? I don't think we've heard that. I think she every time has had to be coaxed into saying something about Sebastian, because every time her and Chris speak, it's about them, what they're going through. It's very, very sad. When we sit here and talk about Sebastian all the time, and we have the other side say, I don't know, things like, you can clearly see the connection him and his mother have at that Texas Roadhouse. It baffles me when I hear people say how much Katie truly loved her child. And yet, when we hear the reports of how her son sat in his room most of the time, and when we see with our very own eyes the connection that they want to say she had, God love her if that's her having a connection with someone she gave birth to, because that woman's got some problems. There is clearly no connection. She was more concerned about what was happening on her phone and the people coming and going at Texas Roadhouse that night. And when there was a conversation she had with her child, we could clearly, with our very own eyes, see her using her hand as gesturing negativity and throwing it out towards him. We see him shaking his head. No, no. And you clearly see that young man just shrink down and deflate before our very own eyes. If that's what these people who sit here on YouTube and talk about things when it comes to a missing child, they need a new career. Because there was not anything close to a connection. When your child's teachers visibly see there needs to be CPS interaction happening in the defense of that young man, and they make that call, that's not the kind of connection a child deserves. And friends, think about it. CPS can't just say, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let me go call CPS real quick. That's not how it works. They can inquire into it. They themselves can look into it. But they cannot call and make a report on something they cannot visibly see with their very own eyes. And yet there were 5 different times that happened. When he wasn't in his room, I guess he was getting beat on or something. I don't know. People in that neighborhood said it was like a child didn't even live there. A teenager didn't ever live there because you never saw him outside. And when you did, it was all negativity. Getting sprayed with a pressure washer because he has a meltdown? Okay. Way to help him calm down there, Mr. Chris. It's absolutely sad. I wonder with this winter storm coming if Katie left another blanket, shoes, and snacks on the front porch for her son in case he was able to come back home. Oh, Retha, you and me both. I know it takes a lot to do that. I know that that is the place I would start. I would question things, I would dig into things. But since learning that there was an actual court case that was fixing to happen, seemed as if things were really taking shape there. You know, you always hear about the mafia and the mob stories, right? Where, you know, somebody's going to testify against the mob boss and they conveniently either go missing or are found dead. Guys, this is no different here. This is no different. This would destroy Chris's life. He would have been charged potentially, possibly with child abuse. Abuse of a minor child. He would have lost custody of his daughter that he has worked 7 years and fought for 7 years. We're talking over compulsive here. Most people, if it doesn't work the first time, might try a second time. But 7 years worth, God help that little girl. And we sit here and we question when the main witness goes missing just weeks prior to that court case happening. And there's no evidence that his mother brought him home because there's no evidence he ever left. Something needs to happen. It's time for somebody to take the chance and do what's right for Sebastian. Do the right thing. If there's something out there that they can clear Seth, then dadgum clear him. Put all of this on the two that deserve it. The two that cannot tell the same story clearly. Because we all know the truth never changes, but their stories do. It needs to happen. Something needs to happen. Hang on, let me get up here. Diana says the first 24 hours is crucial. For the longer it goes, the consequences are always worse, stated by New York Ellie. I'm telling you. When you have a young man and his mother says he ran away. Yeah, Michelle, that's what I'm afraid of here. Pat Brown did say until there's evidence or a body comes up, nobody will be cleared via Pat Brown. Yeah. And yes, Sally, I agree with you 100% here. Seth should file the case against CPS for not notifying him of the reports and let the records out. I agree with you. Oh, Linda, I agree with you 100% there too. Tattoo on Katie's arm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you. There's a lot there, and we can sit here and throw out the all the things that need to happen and all that good stuff, but I would hope and pray that someone in the position to do something is making sure that when they do, it's enough to clearly make a case that nobody can deny it, not even a jury. And I try my best to believe and to stand on that alone, because we see it clear as day. But in a court of law, they may need more. I, I I wonder about that. If he pushes to get the CPS sued, it might blow open the door on Sebastian's case by default. Yeah. And you're right, Miss Kathy. Sebastian didn't run away, just like Summer did not get eaten by a bear. Yeah. And so I think so, Miss Sally. He may be worried about going against authority in Tennessee. And it's hard when you're still a suspect in your child's missing case. It doesn't help. Doesn't help. And so the questions all just sit there and hang in the air and everything. And all we can do is pray that law enforcement, a lie detector test, me and you, he took one with Nancy Grace, polygrapher, who she hired, who is one of the top polygraphers in the world. I don't care what they say. It was not just some guy that she hired off the street to come in and go over and take, assert that test and accurately score it and all the things. The guy is very well known and people hire him a lot. And so, he did pass that. Yeah. Katie did take one. She actually, I think, took two. Mr. Chris, on the other hand, we've heard yes, we've heard no, we've heard all the things, and nobody can believe a word out of his mouth. But I have a feeling he didn't. He's got Bobby and Carter protecting him, right? He likes to throw all that stuff out. Yes, Miss Rhonda, he was. He was I keep moving. He was a former FBI and he taught that at Quantico and everything. Yeah. So there's lots of stuff that's just sitting here. What's the right thing to do? What's the not the right thing to do? What is Seth supposed to do? She did pass hers. But Texas Plain Jane, I honestly believe that whenever Sebastian left that home, she wasn't sure for a while. She wasn't sure. I think they kept some things from her for a little while. I think her training that she has had with the military has taught her just exactly how to pass something and to say things to where you're not perceived as lying. And yeah, you go back to that, Michelle. Lie detectors are not admissible in a court of law because people know how to manipulate them. Yep, Christy, I've thought that as well. I've always thought Mr. Chris might be in that home when they got home. I mean, there's so many scenarios that could fit. But what is the truth? That's the problem. What is the truth? And we're not getting that from Katie, who was last with her child. You know, she tells us she got home at 7 o'clock, but she told law enforcement it was 8 o'clock. The dash cam video showed he was in the car when they left Texas Roadhouse. What did it show when she drove in that driveway is my question. Yeah, we did for sure. We can't. We've had plenty of people say, hey, and the letter from the White House is the referral for him to contact these people because they are where he needed to start. Everybody turned it into a whole crap show. Whether he did or not, I have no clue. He had an open door at the United States Marshal through one of our subscribers. She had the connections. She made those calls. He never reached out to her. I can't force anybody to do anything. I honestly feel like Seth has had so many people in his ear telling him this way, that way, this way, that way, and over half of them have crapped on him in the end. I think he's a father who's lost. I think he's a father who doesn't trust anymore. I think he's a desperate father to find his son. And he is 100% a grieving father. Let's listen to some more of this for just a little bit more.
There's even more than that. And it really just so many negative people out. Just really.
Seth, you made the comment that that there's no evidence at all that he's deceased, and that is 100% accurate. There is zero evidence that he's deceased. But what do you say to these people that we keep hearing over and over again that say, well, I don't know why people are blaming this person or that person or whatever. There's absolutely no evidence at all in any way, shape, or form. What do you say to that? From what you know and what you've seen and what you can talk about, what do you say to the people that say that, well, there's just, by golly, there's no evidence?
Lack of evidence is evidence in itself. I see where particular people are guilty of abuse, negligence. My son's not here because they weren't doing their job as a parent. They don't deserve children. And unfortunately, one of those is my ex.
Now you have to remember, this is the man that sat there and read 287 pages from the therapist. He read all 5 reports when CPS was called. He knows what life in that house was like.
I don't know what happened to her. She was not always like that.
He says, I don't know what happened to her. She was not always like that. Well, let's see. Neither was all the people who had private conversations with Mr. Chris, right? Look at Yada. Katie's cousin comes out and speaks out. Then Mr. Chris has a private conversation with her. And she's over there with them, singing a whole different tune. Look what happened when Terry Lynn had a conversation with Mr. Chris privately on the side of the courthouse. She ends up on panel over there, talking mad shit about people over here. But yet she was the one out looking for Sebastian and being honest with all of us. We wonder what happened to Katie. She marries that man. She lives with that man. I honestly believe she has become just like that man. And that is my opinion.
Seth, a little more specifically, we're obviously not going to talk about anything we can't talk about. But you know the contrary. You know there's a mountain of evidence, correct?
Yes.
And you know that all the people that make it seem like that Sumner County just has nothing and that they don't have a clue and there's just, it's just, he disappeared like a unicorn, poof. None of that's true, correct?
That's correct. Children don't just disappear.
And Sumner County hasn't been fooled here, have they?
No, they haven't.
Now, recall when I told y'all that news reporter said, so you're telling us he left home with no shoes? And Eric Craddock's response to that was, I'm not saying he left home with no shoes. I'm saying his mother said that. That was a jab at Katie. I honestly believe they know things. They have things. My question is, do they have what they need to proceed to put these people away so that another child, maybe like his daughter, doesn't come up missing because she doesn't do according to Mr. Chris's rules? It's scary to think.
They have not. I'm communicating with them almost every day. And obviously, from my understanding, she had her attorneys at her interview. I don't have attorneys sitting here telling me how to answer questions. I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't know what's going on or that they do know what's going on. I just know that they are working this case to bring my son home.
Now, you remember at the 1 year mark last year, Sumner County was there with Seth. They were telling him, we have things. We've got evidence. But then it completely 100% stopped. Why? We can only speculate. We don't know. Nothing's happening. And this father is pushing to get FBI to take it over completely because Sumner County is the lead. And until they invite the FBI to take it over completely and take the lead, the Sumner County is in control. Brandon, Carter, Bobby with the TBI. Or Bobby Carter and Brandon Simmons, however it works. It does make you wonder, how tight is that friendship? How much are those two individuals that are used as leverage freely, easily by Mr. Chris. How much will him being locked up affect them and their careers? It's just part of the hard questions we got over here.
And they are working it, and they have information.
If I can jump in really quick.
Sure.
I saw
I need to blow my nose.
that I was, well, I actually not just an interview, multiple interviews on a local station, I'll just say. I have never seen anything so misleading in many investigations. For those of you who may not have watched it, it was unbelievable.
Nick Barris, Channel 5.
No, it was,
Okay.
and I won't even say the channel, but they literally had on the Proudfoot's paid private investigator, who, in my opinion, and this isn't about him, it's about the misleading information.
Lord help him. He always gets brought into this. Poor little fella. If he would just stop being so stupid and being such a distraction, people might not talk about him, right?
That was broadcast. It was shocking to me about
The video.
the shadowy figure, and this could really mean something. This could turn the case around, and then
Whatever actually happened to good journalism?
So many have reached out to say that is absolutely no. It is not evidence of somebody who took Sebastian. And actually, that PI got on television and said that they were trying to figure out whether that could be Sebastian. Did you hear that? He
Could be the break in the case.
break it, but not just a break in the case, like somebody taking Sebastian, but that could be him, like walking or whatever. That could be him. Most misleading thing I have seen in this case. And it's,
Y'all all recall that video where, hey, this might be Sebastian. This is, this might be the answer. And Katie and Chris roll right with it. Because that's what we're paying him to do. I honestly believe that. And Katie, in her own word, says until law enforcement looks into this thoroughly, I'm going to hold hope. That person lived at the end of the other road behind her house. She could have traveled her happy little ass down there and asked herself, oh, but by golly, no, She ain't going to do that because she knew it was nothing but crap. Katie has done nothing to help her son. Seth, on the other hand, has traveled for hours and hours and hours to go check something out. But Katie, who lives one block over, can't get up off her butt and go check it out herself. Give me a break.
wrong. And just bad. So I wanted to touch on that because I really hope they retract that. I hope they come out and they say we've learned more information, even after they received a statement from Craddock, who is the sheriff now. He wasn't before, for those who don't know, but he's always been assigned this case, and now he's the sheriff, but he's still the main guy for Sumner County. And Sumner County is still the main venue holder, right? They're still the lead. He came out and told them, no, we have analyzed that. We had it within the first 72 hours. That person, it's not involved. It is not evidentiary in this case.
Probably because that was recorded the day after Sebastian went missing, from what I hear.
And they came back even so and went to a clip of the Proudfoots. And then they responded, well, no matter what they say, we still think it could be a break in the case. Until they prove to us it's not, we still think it could be. Is this some sort of distraction? Do I have some
Yes.
to throw to say, look over there? Is that what that is? Look over here.
It's what it seems to me.
That's exactly what's been happening since Sebastian went missing. I woke up this morning and went to wake him up and he wasn't even there. He ran away. I don't know why he went out that door. Go look out there for him. Don't look over here. Don't look at us. Go look out there because he ran away barefooted in the middle of the night. A child who doesn't go outside, who doesn't go barefooted, who only goes to the end of their driveway when he does. Those kind of things. Sebastian's case from the very, very get-go was a distraction. Go look out there because he ran away. Oh, but my child's not a runner. And then we get the video of his mother driving around looking for him so hard, that she had her windows up and she drove like a bat out of hell down the road and back. A distraction. See, I was looking for him. I went to the school thinking he might be there. But she didn't slow down long enough if he was there. All that tells us is she knew her son was not anywhere on Kellen Drive or at the school where there were actual videos of her car driving with her windows up, not slowing down, not looking for her child. Why waste her time when she knew he was at neither of those places?
Because that whole piece was so misleading and it was wrong. And so I'm sorry. I had to jump on that because that doesn't help find Sebastian when wrong information is being put forward as legitimate. There could be nothing further from being legitimate than that.
What gets me really about that so-called PI is the fact that he spends more time on social media putting out false information that does not help locate or find Sebastian. While I have PIs that you won't find them on social media. You won't find my PIs on social media because they understand the private part. They also understand that my private eyes are in communication with a CSO. Anything that comes in through Dog and Nick's team that comes into us goes to my PI. My PI goes and filters it through all the others that we've already received tips to make sure we're not getting duplicate tips, and then turns around and feeds it to SCSO and feeds it to me and my team, and then we track down rabbit holes.
Sadly, in the beginning, he had two PIs that were just like Mr. Fisher. They went to social media several times. It was not really surprising when we realized SF is the one who trained the young lady that was in charge. Seth has private investigators now that we never hear from. That's the way it should be.
That is the whole point of having a private investigator, is to go through all the tips, make sure which ones are valid, and track them down.
And I can tell you that we love our PI dearly. But if they got on social media and attacked the mother, regardless of how we feel about her, it would be the last day she worked for us, period.
Yeah, exactly right. It serves no purpose. I understand putting forth facts, and we've talked a lot. And I know I've talked a lot about the abuse because I'm appalled. And I hope when Sebastian is found, that is looked at very closely and reconsidered in terms of the ability for those parents to be around Sebastian without being monitored. I mean, that's my main point of that. It's, it was an abusive environment, and he should never be allowed to return to that. In my opinion, at least without people watching.
Katie and Chris are so smug. They just talk all the time about, when he comes home and he comes through that front door. Keep dreaming, Katie. Because I'm pretty sure, should that young man come home, it won't be to your house. He was trying his best to get away from there. And conveniently, he went missing before he could actually do something about it.
Having somebody there. I wanted to.
When I find him, he won't be going back. He'll be over my dead body.
Well, you have a lot of information now to work with, and so the courts are going to look at this, I think, a lot more closely now that all this new information has come out, and the fact that it's being spotlighted. I mean, how many cases go on forever and ever and ever, and the Department of Child Services, each state, they're called something different, but CPS.
Wait, here's something. Like, when I requested those records and they told me I had to have an attorney request those records, because I went online, submitted the request, and then they told me I needed to have an attorney. But I did that on a Wednesday, and on a Friday, they terminated the lady on the on the DCS reports. What kind of, so that she that she did wrong, so you terminate her. So what? I mean,
I wonder if that was, the relative to Mr. Chris that worked there. Oh, wait, no, she quit just days prior to Sebastian going missing. Gotcha. Okay. Just want to make sure we got it all right. All correct. So another person was let go when his lawyer requested records, and they realized they totally effed up and didn't check and verify that Sebastian's father was actually in his life, active and current in his life. They, whoever she is, took the word of Katie and Chris Once again, they ran the narrative. Once again, more lies from those two.
If that doesn't scream, you know, we didn't do our job, I don't know what does.
Yeah, I mean, there's just huge department issues in DCS across the nation. We've seen it in multiple cases. Look at Harmony Montgomery, dead for years and nobody knew it. They were still paying checks out. But I'm not trying to detract. I'm just trying to say in this case will put a spotlight not only on that issue now, but if he's found, spotlight there. And I think it will help make sure that he's in a healthy environment if he's found, Seth. And I think we can all look forward to that.
You know, this is my question though. Let's say he comes home in the morning. He's not 18 yet. His father, his mother, and his stepfather are all suspects in his disappearance. What happens then? I wonder, will that affect him going to his father's house? The scary part is hearing the words from Mr. Chris when he was on Hatfield and McCoy, and he said, we're down to two options now. He's either lying in the woods dead somewhere, or he'll come home but need mental help. Friends, when I tell you that facility that my friend's grandson was in was detrimental to his well-being and his mental capacity, it's for real. The things that happen in some of these facilities, we listened to those three girls that were snatched up in the middle of the night, taken away because their parents paid these people to come get her and take them off, you know? The hell they went through. Some facilities keep kids so drugged up that there's not even an issue. They don't have to deal with behavior issues in these places because they're too drugged up to even do anything. And if they decide one day, oh, I don't want that shot, I'm not going to take that shot today, that child might not show up at lunchtime because that child may be no longer alive. Just like what happened with my friend's grandson and a patient that he knew there. It scares me to think of him in a facility like that, having his autism and his breakdowns and stress. Is that what's been happening over the last almost 2 years of his life? Does Katie know that, you know, she doesn't have to go out looking for him? She can go on vacations and travel all over the place because, you know, he's in a place, he's got a bed, he's getting fed, all is well. It does make you stop and wonder. But then the saddest part of all is you look at his father here who's fighting every day just to try to find out information about where his son could be. And if that turns out to be the case, could you imagine the anger that Seth is going to feel knowing that this whole entire time they possibly knew exactly that his son was alive and where he was. It does make you wonder, as little as we see them doing anything, as little as leaving a blanket, a pair of shoes, and some snacks on the front porch while you go on your little road trip across the United States, while you go to a barbecue cook-off while you're there. It's absolutely disgusting to even have that thought that there is a mother who might know her child is somewhere and yet pretend like she don't know just to make the father angry and sad and devastated, all in the name to protect her husband. Think about that, because that is a possibility of what has actually been going on. Guys, we're going to stop it right here. Seth's link is in the description of this video. If you want to watch the whole entire thing, please go check it out. If you haven't already, I'm pretty sure most everybody that's listening has subscribed to his channel. He doesn't do a lot of lives, but when he does, we're all pretty much there. We sit here and we try to do our best to make sense of Sebastian's case. A lot of other people have moved on because it became too much, and the hate and the distractions and all the things. But I made a promise to this young man. I'm not going to stop. Not going to stop. When I'm told, hey, I drove by your house today. It's time this person talking never talks again. It's time for this person to go missing. I just keep on talking. You see, I got a loud mouth. My son always tells me that. I have to remind him he's just like me, because he's just as loud, if not a little louder, matter of fact. But yeah, I got things to say. I'm not going to back off from a missing child's case because grown adults feel the need to put out some threats. You know, I can get in my car and I can travel, do things, go somewhere. I don't worry. I don't worry. I have my little buddy that I carry with me wherever I go. And if I feel my life is being threatened, hey, so be it. Nothing you're going to pull up on me is detrimental to my life. I'm a proud mother. I'm a proud grandmother. I've had a good life. And if we here on our channel, little bitty channel that we got, if we can talk about Sebastian every day, that's at least getting the word out that this young man's still missing. Still missing. In 2 days, it will be 1 month prior to being the 2-year anniversary. And in the past 2 years and 2 days, or 33 days, there's been no evidence at all that he ever left his home. In all actuality, there is no evidence he ever made it home. The last time anyone ever saw Sebastian was him in the car with his mother as she pulled out from Texas Roadhouse and drove away. I'll say it every time I got a chance to speak. Katie Lynn Proudfoot holds the key to the question every one of us have. Where is Sebastian? I still put all of this on her because I honestly believe she knew what was about to happen to that young man, or she wouldn't have took her light bulbs down the day before so that it would be super dark there at her house. Nobody could see things. And knowing that, she knows what happened. She knows whether her child is alive or no longer alive. She made a choice when she drove away from Texas Roadhouse to go along with whatever plan was planned. She could have drove him straight to his daddy's, told him to get out, don't call, I'll contact you when I can, and leave it at that. But she didn't. She didn't. She drove wherever and did whatever for an hour and a half longer than it should have took her to get home that night. If what she told law enforcement was correct. Seth tells us they have evidence. What is that evidence? What do they have? If they're not believing her, there has to be a reason. Do they see what we see? Do they know, and have they looked at those CPS files of Sebastian's? Did they know that that young man was going to court to testify against his stepfather? And he miraculously just vanishes. Is that not enough? When is enough enough? Why is it that Katie feels she has to have her lawyer with her when she speaks to the news about her child? But she feels free to go on the hate channels and sits idly by while that sweet hubby of hers totally, disgustingly trash talks people. Why? None of it seems to make sense to me, and I just don't get it. I have So many questions that have never to this day been asked. I really want those answers to help to understand some of the questions that I have. But those answers never come. They just continue to be covered up, pushed away, and the narrative continues to be pushed by Katie's friends and Chris's friends about her being a grieving mother. She was smiling awful big while she was in Florida with her girls having lunch time with her girlies. Just 5 months of not knowing where her child is supposedly at. Yeah, that's not how a grieving mother acts. But all the questions still hang out here. All the questions we have still linger in the air. And law enforcement is not going to tell us anything. Sadly, we don't get that privilege. It would be nice, but we don't. So we continue to do what we do. And I don't know if we're doing the right thing, if we're doing things wrong, if we're making a difference or not making a difference. But guys, I feel strongly to keep doing it. You see, Sebastian has captured each and every one of our hearts. That handsome smile of his, that big old smile that just seems to lighten up the room. He's worth it. He's worth it. And so we continue to talk, listen, discuss, and voice our opinions. And in doing so, we can do every day that we are outside of our home, have our eyes peeled, be looking, because you never know where Sebastian may be. If he's in a facility, he may be going on a field trip one day, and it might be where you live. So always, always, always remember to scan around, like his dad said, and just be on the lookout. But I thank you for being here, each and every one of y'all. I appreciate y'all hanging out and listening. I appreciate everything y'all are putting in chat. Everybody that's just listening in the bushes, thank you so much. It makes a difference. Make sure to hit that like button. It helps to get out into the algorithm the things that we're saying here and showing and talking about. Hype the videos if you can, if you choose. We're just doing the best we can for this young man because he deserves it. He deserves it. So, guys, I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Everybody stay super warm and safe tonight as much as possible. Stay in. Don't drive if you don't absolutely have to. And, oh, thank you, Lolo. Thank you, Teresa. But y'all just be safe. This weather is kind of brutal right now. More than anything, stay warm. I will probably take tomorrow off, but if I come across something that we just need to talk about and the weather holds out and we still have electricity, I might go live. So y'all be on the lookout. Make sure y'all hit that bell and notification for all. That way you get it when we come live. But if I don't go tomorrow, I'll see y'all Monday, guys. Y'all have a really great night. And until next time, love and hugs, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.